Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with DrCybersecurity. And this evening, my very, very special guest is someone that one of my mentees, Katia Dean, introduced me to. Her name is Nia Joseph. Nia, would you please introduce yourself to our guests, to our audience?
Hi, so my background is in marketing. I have been doing digital marketing for well over 8 years now, and I'm kind of like a jack of all trades when it comes to that thing. So what that means is that, I build websites, I create strategies, but I really focus on paid SEM and paid search and paid media. So what I want to talk to you about today is how you can use marketing in your career, even if you're not a marketer, and how you can use it to brand yourself and to brand your business.
That is wonderful. So you may know this. Branding and marketing is actually one of my life passions also, because I feel like it doesn't matter what business you're in, what field you're in, you have to do this. Even job
Yes.
interviewing is sort of marketing. So this is going to be very exciting.
Yes. And of course, spoiler alert, I will be using you as a guinea pig for these
Ah,
examples. So,
okay. That's even more exciting.
yes.
All right, go on. It's your show, Nia.
Awesome. So, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we're going to get started. And I'll minimize you so I can see. Cool. So, this is going to be about branding your career, innovation, hustle. We have a lot of interesting topics to discuss. So these are the questions that we'll answer. How do I brand myself at work, in real life, in business? I'm an introvert. Do I really have to brand myself? Use social media. I know a lot of us don't feel comfortable being on social media.
Right.
Um, what does impact and growth mindset mean? How can I start a business from nothing? How frameworking, which is something I use a lot, can create clarity and drive massive career success, and how to become smarter faster.
Nice.
So who am I? As you know, I'm a digital marketer and I focus on starting businesses from zero to one, zero to launch to success. It's something that I think is my strong suit and I really enjoy. So let's talk overview about us. So we'll have a live branding exercise and then we'll talk about you in that brand exercise. And we'll talk about strategy, how to play digital chess, how to make sure what you're doing is going to impact either your organization if you're working for a company or your business if you're working for yourself, and essentially both if you're doing both. Frameworking, understand how to break things down like a pro. And then bonus tips is just what I'm learning currently and what questions you might have. So introduction. As we talk about framework, and I'm very big on brevity. So I am a very brief person. I like to be succinct.
Mhm.
And I find that these kind of guides help me when I'm in different conversations with people. So
Mhm.
who am I? Um, I am a talented blank with blank years of experience and results in. And I just wanted to provide that as an example for people who might be struggling to tell their story, who maybe don't want to say a lot, and I have another example, tell a story, right? So
Mhm.
if I take that approach, I might say something like, I am born and raised on a Caribbean island. I love coconut water, and I
Mhm.
started getting into marketing to help my community. I wanted them to succeed and make sure that the small businesses in my area could compete with some of the big tech that I was into. And so I started to go to them and bring my innovation to them directly and test things out at an early time. So that's me telling a story. Right away, you have multiple touch points where you said, wow, she's from the Caribbean. She likes coconut water. She was entrepreneurial and she wants to help her community. And then you can kind of make these assumptions. That is how you find your tribe.
Oh,
Um,
this is beautiful because what you're doing is you're personalizing the whole thing. You're no longer a piece of paper. You're a human being
yes,
and with experiences and a background that people could relate to because they may now ask you a question about the Caribbean island or
yes.
coconut, or maybe they've never had coconut, right?
Yeah, right. And I think that's super important, especially in this super digital world where we're trying to connect with people over camera. We still want to have some sense of like human touch. So, what sets you apart? If you take a marketer and you take a developer and you put them side by side, you could say that the marketer is skilled in building consumer-friendly experiences, and they focus on, a business goal result. And then you focus on the developer and they says, well, they also have a skill for solving business problems with coded solutions. So you need to put into words what sets you apart. It's not good to kind of have this like all-inclusive mindset of like, I can do everything and I am anything. You definitely need to specialize, and you definitely need to have a niche.
Define your
Yes,
lane. Exactly. Beautiful. Yes.
which I know you talk a lot about. So
Yes. Yes. Defining my lane.
yes, I am going to have a few quotes in here from, I love watching animated films and cartoons. So I think it's very imaginative as a creative. It helps me create. So people get built different. We don't need to figure it out. We just need to respect it. And I think that is a key part of you branding yourself and understanding that you can be yourself authentically. And you
Yes.
don't need to become, a clone or just this like very cut and dry thing you've put in your head of what you're supposed to be. Um, so let's talk about a SWOT analysis. This is a marketing term. So it stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And this is what we do typically whenever we have a new product, a new client, or any new opportunity we want to assess.
Mhm.
So here I talk about crypto, Dogecoin. So Dogecoin strengths is easily acquired and it's fun. You can find it on Robinhood. Most people have that. And it's something that is, very, very affordable to get into. So the weaknesses is that Bitcoin, however, seems to be the most respected crypto. Now the opportunities, of course, is Dodge being very popular, very affordable. Everyone's talking about it. And then the threats could be that there might be several other emergent altcoins that are like Dogecoin. So this is what you would do for yourself, and you could take this.
Yeah, I love this. I love this because SWOT, something people should be used to, regardless of what they're doing. And
Yes.
doing it on yourself is kind of important. This is something I do talk about, but not in this
Yes.
kind of a framework. But I love this. I love this.
Awesome. And another quote from a marketer, I would say this is from Jake from, Adventure Time. Bad biscuits make the baker broke, bro. And that's true. You don't want to bake bad biscuits, right?
I like it. I like it. This is fun.
Awesome. And that is part of my brand. And so as we go into this, I'm going to talk about some frameworks now. And so frameworks are things that you can use to create these plans for success, especially like if you have to climb a mountain, you don't just say, hey, I'm just going to run up to the top. You make a plan. You say, hey, I'm going to climb this lower part and it's going to take me this amount of time. And then I'm going to rest here and then I'm going to go for the next part, and you have your gear and all that stuff. So similarly, when you're approaching a new job or a new business or a new project, this can help you. So I call this the new kid framework. So if you're new to the job, this is what I like to do: listen, innovate, collaborate. So you want to listen, right? Create a 30, 60, 90-day plan for a new job, partnership, or even a skill. So you want to sit down, interview stakeholders, listen to the team members, the people who've been there the longest, and kind of understand what is going on. And then when I say listen, I really do mean listen, and not necessarily just jump into innovation, because innovation without listening is just, kind of just
It's crazy.
doing
Yeah.
stuff.
You don't know what's there. You're
You
trying to
don't know what's
innovate.
there. Yeah, So
Beautiful. No, this is beautiful because this is one of the things that I've always advised people when you
yeah,
take a new CIO job or a CISO job or really any job. So people often ask me during CIO interviews, well, tell me what your first 30 days are going to be looking like. I said, with every leader in every business unit within the
right.
organization. Yeah.
Yeah. And then innovating, you don't have to do, something that's going to be life changing. It can be impactful. So just tackle 1 to 3 things that you heard from that listening session as being a hurdle. So maybe someone says, hey, this process is really slow, but they don't have the bandwidth to fix it. So maybe you can collaborate and fix it. Or maybe someone says, we would like to try this new technology, but I just haven't had the time to, create an LBC on it. So maybe that's something you can do.
Yes. And in that respect, one of the things that I like, and I typically tell people to do, is do micro innovation, not macro and massive innovation where you have no way to go back, because if you fail, that's it. The organization is dead. And the
Yes.
funny thing is, many new people make this very mistake of going to an organization, immediately try to make their mark and do this massive change where
Yeah.
they might just completely reorganize the whole organization. All right. But they don't know anything about the organization.
Right. And that's the biggest pitfall, is overestimating what your contribution needs to be. So
Yes, I love it.
awesome.
Wonderful.
And the last one is collaboration. And that's just working with people, because I think it's also important, even if you find these 1, 2, 3 things that you can fix, you need to make sure that you're still collaborating, and that your solution is one that everyone wants and not just you.
Yes, absolutely.
So this is my everyday all day framework. And so it's just kind of like a thing to keep in mind, some key points, some high level frames of thought, and growth mindset. So trust your instincts, but challenge them. You want to make sure that you're always like challenging yourself, and that you're always thinking like, I can do this. And a very easy way of growth mindset is, hey, we did it in the past before and it didn't work, but let's try it again with something new.
Mhm.
Instead of saying, we did this in the past, it didn't work, we don't want to try it again. Collective learning. So just leveraging the work of others around you and making sure that you're always like tuned into what your peers are doing, because that's how we grow. And that's how we get better.
Mhm.
Frameworking, which again is what I'm talking about, is create clarity and consistency. So create, very easy to understand communication of like what you want to do, how you want to do it, and when. Innovation, which I always say is shooting for the moon, and then create a work back schedule to get there. Figure out how can you get to the moon. You want to go to the moon? That's awesome, but let's put it down into defined steps. And then that would be even, that would be even easier for you to accomplish.
Mhm.
Building to learn, which is what I did early in my career, which was dropping theory and diving into testing. Theory is very important, but it's also as important for you to get hands-on experience. So learn while you're learn while you're trying to drive impact, and just pick up something and being authentic, keeping your unique IDs inserted into those brackets. And that just
Mhm.
means keeping who you are as a person inserted into the work that you do every day.
Yeah, so this is one of the things where I talk about that every job has two components. One, something that the organization and the manager wants you to do. The second are things that you bring to the organization or the job because of your unique talents and skills. And really, nobody else could do it. This is only happening because you are there. And so it could be marketing skill, communication skills, writing skills, who knows? But that's where you bring your authentic, unique ID and everything, and you insert that into that whole process, right? Making
Yeah.
yourself, the job and everything so unique, and yourself almost irreplaceable that way.
Yes. And this is another framework. It's more of a timeline to figure out your self-development. Everyone asks that interview question at some point. You've probably heard it. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And you cringe because you're like, I don't know. I don't even know what I want to have for dinner tonight, you know? And I think it's really important, even though it's such a future like thing, to think about what your current career is, what you want in your promotion period, and your desired career. And of course, if you're like me, then the end game is to be retired on the beach. Um, and these don't have to be filled out. They can just be bullet points, and this can change. But it's really important to start to get into mindset of planning. So you're not just out here swimming, but you're swimming to a destination with
This is
purpose.
going to be very valuable, because this is a key thing that people really don't talk about during interviews. Like, they don't talk
Yeah.
about, say, their education plan, their growth plan, learning plan. What are they doing? Right? Yeah, this is fantastic.
And I call this is a framework I think, is really like undervalued. And I call it the CEO talk framework, because I found, just in my dealings with people who are focused on the success of their business, that they care about a few things, and that's time, cost, and market share, and innovation. And they have many different acronyms for this, but I've broken it down to these because I think, time, how will it save time? What are the data, what is the data that says I'm going to reduce X amount by X amount? So if you want to think of an example that someone at work can use, if you want to create a new process and you're trying to say like, well, Nia, how can I figure out the time it will save? Well, just look at the calendar invites you've had for what you were doing before. Maybe you had like 12 meetings before and you have an idea to consolidate it into one because it's 12 meetings with different, coworkers and bring that all on the same meeting.
Yeah.
Innovation.
I love it. I
So,
love this. This is also very useful. My God, I can see why Katia was raving about you.
awesome. Thank you. Yeah, and innovation, right? So everybody wants to be innovative, and it really just means from being first in market or best in market. So there's a difference. You can be the first and be remembered, and you can also just be the best and be remembered. And both of those are forms of innovation. Um, Cost, how will it save money? Projections required. So this is where you want to kind of get into what are you currently spending, how many, hours, and the cost could even be if you're working, if you work at a job and you have like a temp or an intern that's paid or just different people on your team, you can calculate, if you do know that, the hourly cost of engaging with that person and the tasks that they're doing and how you can create something more streamlined. And then that's called doing a cost benefit analysis. So what's the cost? What's the benefit? Is it worth it? And then we talk about market share, and that can be covering new ground. It doesn't need to be just expanding to different countries, but it can also just be expanding to different products and different lanes and verticals. And how can you go beyond? How can, so for, when a company decides, hey, we want to start working in the healthcare industry, and we primarily used to work in the financial industry. So that's all considered market share. And if you,
Beautiful.
as a new employee, can do any of these things, it'll definitely show that you're thinking strategically. Now, this is the listening framework. So how do you listen, right? Listening is definitely a skill. Get better at it with time and practice. So when you want to listen, you want to make sure you're writing and understanding. So what was done? Understand the scope of the work that was done. And that goes from, oh, this project started because of this, and it evolved into that. And so that's where the why comes in. Understand why it was done, the motivation, and then really break down how it was done. What, what was used, what technology, software, like how was it done? And then what still sucks about it, because not everything is perfect, right? So what is like, it's not bad, it's not good, but it's just like blah, and figure that out and kind of write those down to understand where you can create your innovation. And how will fixing those things that suck help? Maybe those things that suck is not vital to the project. Maybe they're just there, but maybe there's something else you can kind of understand to create innovation from. And this is a sales funnel. So as marketers, we have sales funnels. This is how we decide to create these strategies and bring in revenue for companies, individuals. Awareness, right? So I need sunscreen. I'm aware that I need sunscreen because I went outside and my skin was burning. Interest. Well, this sunscreen brand looks really cool. It's got bright colors on it. But what really sold me was that it was chemical free. So that's where the decision phase comes in. And then I purchased it. So I just added to my curbside pickup list. And the interesting thing to notice is that the purchase phase is still marketing, because if you consider, before the pandemic, we maybe had curbside for certain things, but it was largely a new concept. And so making it easy or easier for your customers and consumers to get access to you is a form of marketing. Do you allow them to order from your website, or do you have to invoice them manually? Do you have recurring payments, or do you have to send them an email every month with a reminder? All of these things are a part of marketing. It's a part of a sales funnel. And then this goes into the buyer journey, which is awareness. Like, hey, I need a marketing consultant. Consideration. I'm actually looking for somebody who can help me with 0 to 1, like meaning I have no idea what I want to do, but I know that I have a budget and I want to build something and I need someone to help me. And decision, I'm going to hire XYZ. And the sales funnel for that would just be, hi, my name is Kiara. I build websites for small businesses. And this is how you sell yourself, right? So you can say, hi, my name is Kiara. I build websites for small businesses. The interest is my websites include SEO for search engines to easily find you.
Mhm.
And then the decision is, oh, my stuff is also affordable and it's a one-time payment. And then purchase would be, you'll buy my stuff because you need to grow your business. And so this is how you can come in and you can say, I'm a software developer and I have a background in SaaS products. And the interest would be that my, experience has been in the fintech industry and you're a fintech company. And the decision would be that I also have a very, big learning background, and I see that that's good with your company culture. You want someone who wants to learn and stretch your expertise. And that purchase would be, I'm going to hire you because all of these things line up. So the more you are aware of yourself, the easier it will be for you to connect with others at these different stages. And this is another quote, go beyond plus ultra, which is which is to say, always try to do more. And before we get to this framework, I'm gonna do my exercise now.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go back and I'm actually going to ask you to introduce yourself. And what I'm gonna do after you introduce yourself is kind of pick out and apply some of these frameworks to you. So if you can just say your name, you can introduce yourself any way you want, your experience, what you do. You can do it like this, or you can tell a story.
Sure. My name is Mansur Hasib, and what's special about me is that I'm very interested in people. I've always believed in people. I've always believed that people have greatness in them. And in any job, that's what I try to do, bring out the best in each person, find out what makes them tick, hopefully slot them in the right place, build teams between everybody else so that we can have a winning team. So that's kind of what I do. And that's what I've done for more than 30 years in healthcare, biotechnology, energy, and education.
Awesome. And so with that, let's go look at the funnel and I'll tell you what I heard. So I heard awareness is that you've worked with people and that you've built teams. So for me, I have a project or a company rather, and I need someone who's good at people management and who can develop people. And what made me interested about you, Dr. Hasib, is because you said that I really try to develop people. I care about people. And so I said empathy, right? I want someone who's empathetic and who understands to go beyond. And just from this conversation, I can see that you're really like focusing on the individual and being future, like forward thinking and flexible and understanding what it takes to make someone tick. My decision would be because you have all this experience, over 30 years of experience. And then the purchase would be me extending the opportunity for you to work with me.
Wow. Love it. Love it. Yes. This is cool.
Awesome. And this is my last framework. It's called Learning New Things. And this is just how I learn new things. So I think I'm a very big thinker. I will, I actually wrote this presentation in my head before I typed it. So I just thought about it for a while and I said, okay, this is what I want to create and communicate. And then that helps create the interest, right? Because if I think like, you know what, I want to learn Python because I want to create this awesome script to automate XYZ. That's me creating interest in myself. And that's helpful. Then I discover. So I find communities with similar interests. And, right now I'm really interested in the fintech field and cloud. And so I'm joining Discords, I'm joining different Reddit groups so I can find other people who are in that journey and kind of understand what they're doing. So I analyze the core, which is to define the outcome. I do learn with structure. So I say, I want to learn about cloud development to do XYZ in X time. And that can be to build a website on the cloud in 4 weeks. It can be to build a micro app in 2 months. And you can also add a revenue base, objective to that. If you're a business, I want to learn to do XYZ to make X amount of revenue in X time. Building. So I always want to put it to practice and implement those skills, whether it's, in my spare time or, just because I think it's cool to do. Improve, seek mentorship, and continuously iterate. And I can't stress this enough. I think mentorship is something that is very elusive at times because you don't know how to, to acquire a mentor. But I think the main important thing is to go to someone who you respect and who is well respected in their field, but aligns with your view of where you want to be or what you're currently doing. And just, kind of ask a question like, hey, do you have some time to, share how you did this? And mentorship can grow organically instead of just, asking it, hey, do you want to be my mentor? It can come from, basically they say, if you ask for advice, you get money. And I think if you ask for advice and insights, you get a mentor. Contribute. So at the end of your learning journey, you start off just thinking, hey, I want to learn this skill. At the end of it, you should be contributing to the field to help others. And that doesn't mean you need to be a master or a pro. You can help others even if you're intermediate.
Yeah.
And that concludes my presentation.
Oh, that is fantastic. Do you realize that you have a book in there? Have you thought about that? Because this is exactly how I wrote my latest book. So what you ought to be doing right now is taking your slides and your whole methodology. You have a book right there, and it's going to be a very, very valuable book. So these slides can be in the book, and then you can expand it out. What I would recommend is use case studies. For example, just like you did a case study with me, with one of your frameworks and models. All right.
Yes.
I'm sure you have clients and people. And if you don't have clients, you can just say person A, person B throughout the whole thing. Okay. And basically do that. Because the other thing is, if you want to follow my model, which is, again, I did the same thing with Bring Inner Greatness Out. I actually got permission from all the people that went through my mentorship and things like that. So Katia's story is in my book, right?
Yes.
And Tomiko's story is in there, because to me, if I use real life people and their achievements, hey, you can feel them, touch them, you can see their awards. So if you have clients like that give you permission, that would be great, because hey, it'll promote their business. To tell you honestly, if you have helped businesses to do this framework and all that, they will be in the book. Well, then they will promote your book and all that. So this is a fantastic book you have in there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Start tomorrow. Anything in 6 months, you'll have a book.
Absolutely. I'll do that. You can hold me to it.
There you go. All right. So this has been absolutely fantastic. If you have any other closing thoughts, I know that people who go through this presentation and this segment, they're going to get jobs. They at least will have a framework of talking about themselves in a job interview, because you've given them an amazing roadmap to follow.
Yes. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Nia. We're going to go into networking. I really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing all this expertise with us.
Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.